Welcome to day 4 of the Divine Design Retreat. Welcome back to those of you who have been here on the other days. Welcome if this is your first time joining us. We only have today and tomorrow left on the retreat, and that is both sad to me and so inspirational in how that sadness is motivating me to do something about it. This doesn't have to be the end. You could host more things. I'm like, I think I will. So, more to come on what actually unfolds. I got a billion and one ideas. So, we'll see what makes it to the top of the pile. I would love to hear, as we are kind of nearing the end of the retreat, what has been a standout moment for you? What is one of the pieces that has really stuck with you, that you were grateful to receive, that possibly shifted your perspective? Maybe it was a reminder that you needed to hear. What has come through? Good morning, everyone. Be your own safe space. Never leave home without a safe space. You take you with you wherever you go. Oh, one of my favorite ones. What else? We've covered quite a lot of good stuff that, I have to share that for me, designing the retreat, I have practiced my own surrender in delivering this material each day. I have allowed it to be what it is, whatever is on my own leading edge and wanting to come through. That is what I trust to share with the group. And the way the days have built on each other has been like, wow, you're really doing something up there. So, yeah, I have so enjoyed the relatively stress-free experience of just trusting whatever wants to come through. Leanne says, crafting my future self, right? Like we talked about yesterday, like chipping away at the marble to reveal the statue that's already underneath. Feeling the sisterhood and the openness. I mean, the sense of community is what I have been so filled up with. That is what is making me sad that it's about to come to an end. And I'm like, how do we make some more of this? How do we keep this going? Noticing the strengthening of inner parent that is required and the safe space. There we go. And the safe space here. Yes. That's like one of the coolest compliments that I think I ever get to receive is people feeling safe in my presence, feeling like it opens them up so that they can allow even more things to come up and through them, come to their own surface. Being more aware of my relationship with my future self and enjoying my younger me. Accepting self, all elements of self, right? There's so many. When we think about being our authentic self, that kind of sounds one and done. And yet, when we are our authentic self, I think it gets way more multifaceted. There's all of these different elements and layers to it. It's been a huge reminder that my future self saw fit to take charge in the past and created a safe space for my inner child to come out. I love that the safety is what's resonating with the group, and feeling the connection through time with all of the different parts of you, all the different aspects, like almost being your own guardian angel. And I love that as far as like what we're going to dive into today. We're going to continue to explore the different facets of who we are and the support that is always available to us. So, some really powerful things in store for us today. And with that, I also want to start off by, you know, basically, this is another period in the year where we have kind of New Year vibes. So today is like the astrological New Year Eve, and tomorrow is the astrological New Year. Depending on where you're located on the globe, actually exactly 12 hours from right now. It's happening at 10:06 p.m. Central Time. So 12 hours from right now, wherever you are, that is when, astrologically speaking, we have the sun leaving Pisces and entering into Aries. And so we go from the end of the zodiac to the beginning of another loop around, right? Another lap around the sun. So this was why we scheduled the retreat for right now. was because we're going to finish out this year together and then start the new year together. Day one will be tomorrow morning, our last day together. So super excited for just the vibes of how much this retreat has brought forward for everyone and what we get to decide we're ready to leave in this year that's closing out, what we want to take with us into the new year, take forward and focus into, plant those seeds, nurture those seeds, grow them into even bigger plants and fruit for us to enjoy in our new year. And what gets sparked, right, in that reevaluation process of who are we ready to become as we turn this page. So I will start us off with our dance party. And I have my sound shared, so it is a matter of pressing play. This song is called Life's What You Make It by Graham Colton. Oh, whoops.
So
Hang
you
on.
have an idea. You want to.
Helps if I don't click off of it, you know? That's okay. There we go.
Taking all the sunshine, bottle up the rain. Go where the wind blows, let it show the way. Open all the windows, let in all the light. You can pull the stars down, paint the perfect sky. So go and write your song. The world will sing along. Well, jump in, and we don't know where we'll end up. You might as well begin. Memories you're making, you frame inside your heart. The middle of a nowhere's somewhere you can start. So go and write your song. The world will sing along. Sunshine, bottle up the rain. Go where the wind blows, let it show the way. Life's what you make it. Life's what you make it. It's yours for
Life is indeed what you make it, right? And I feel like, again, what a better time to remind ourselves of that than right here at the astrological new year. There's so much opportunity inside of us, so much opportunity as the sun tips over into Aries, and that spark of new life is able to really have a place to burn inside of us with I rewatched the replay from yesterday and did my own guided meditation of hanging out with my future self this morning. And I cried and I cried and I cried in such a good way. Like her confidence, her certainty of how good it is just melted so much off of me that I didn't even realize I was carrying. So if you're in that boat of like, there's been release for you in this space, or even over this entire last 12 months, that's that much more space then that's open for like what's going to come into it next, right? If we want something new in our life, there really does have to be that open space in order for it to have space to grow. And so that is very much what we are going to be doing today is a very simple model that I learned from a wealth coach named Laura Waldman. I attended her free retreat last week. I highly recommend you follow her. I'll put her on the recap for her YouTube channel because she does lots of free webinars and different things throughout the year. And so I've sat in on a couple of them and they've had really powerful activations for me in those spaces. And what I'm going to teach today and tomorrow is her simple model for manifestation mastery. So, manifestation is one of those words that I feel like we hear a lot of that out in the spiritual community. There's a lot of different interpretations about like, what does it really mean? For me personally, I'll share how I think about it just because like that gives you something to resonate with or not, and that's cool either way. But for me, I think about it like every single moment, every single second of our life is manifested. So, like right here, right now, where you sit, you manifested this. Wherever you were this morning, you manifested that. Wherever you're going after this event, you're manifesting that. So, like, manifestation can sound really complicated. Like, you got to get fancy and like figure out exactly what you want and make it happen, whatever. And it's like every single moment is a manifestation. Another way to think about it is that the manifestation is the music that is playing in your life based on the dial, based on the station that your radio is tuned to. Each human is their own receiver, and that receiver is tuned based on what is going on inside of us. And based on what is going on inside of us, the music is playing. And so anytime we want there to be different music, right? It's a baseball game. I don't care about baseball. I want to listen to hip hop, whatever it is. Then to make it change in our environment, we have to change the dial inside of ourselves. And so how do we actually do that? Right? How do you get different music to play in your life, different circumstances to unfold in your life? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And as we get into it, I think you'll see why this is perfect to kind of cover over this astrological new year portal of like endings and new beginnings. So as we dive in, first things first, we are going to go into a guided meditation to get started with the first step of this process. So I will turn on the background music. Feel free to close your eyes, get really comfortable. Take a deep breath as you really arrive in this moment, turning inward into your inner world. As you arrive at the doorway of yourself, we don't just hang out at the doorway, we walk inside. Breathe in and breathe out. Feel for any tension that you might be holding, and with your awareness pointed at it, melt it from your being. See if you can relax 1% more. There's nowhere else you need to be. You already carved out this time just for you to be with you. now I want you to picture that you're standing at another door. It's a beautiful door, and there's light coming from behind it. You can hear that there's also people on the other side of this door, and it sounds like they're having fun. You go ahead and turn the knob and open the door, and you see a beautiful conference room with a long table, chairs all around, and not only are the chairs full, the walls are lined. The room is full. And as you enter this room, you can feel so much love for you. They've left a seat open for you at the head of the table. It's been waiting for you there. And as you begin to look around the room, the first person you notice sitting right next to that chair at the front for you is your inner child. Their little feet dangling off of their chair. And they look so excited to get to be in this room with everyone who's there. Across from them, you notice it's your future self that we met yesterday. Just as excited, just as proud to be there. They invite you to take a seat, and you continue to notice just how many familiar faces are there. Your ancestors taking up a big chunk of the room, glowing with pride to see you in that space. There's some beings you don't quite recognize, but you instantly know that they're your spirit guides. At the back, you see several beings that have to be guardian angels. You even notice a few people who have passed over, who you would consider to be your role models. Wise people, loving people. And they've all gathered here for you. And you start to wonder, why are we all here? What could be so important that this many souls would gather here and wait just for you? And the answer is, this is a meeting about you having exactly what you want in your life. You see just how ready and supportive and willing every single one of them are, for you to have exactly what you want. And they're looking at you, seemingly waiting to hear, what is it? What is it that you want? In this realm of infinite possibilities, what is it that your soul deeply desires? It can be anything. Every soul in this room has a piece of wisdom to share, has support they can offer, has encouragements to help you get there. And as soon as you will declare what it is that you want, what it is that you want your life to be, every soul in this room mobilizes to make it happen. They automatically accept it. There's a round of applause as soon as you say it out loud. There's only excitement, no judgment. What is it that you want? What is it that your soul is willing to whisper in the safety of this space, knowing you have full support, full spiritual support, backing you up? You can't get it wrong. There is no target on the bullseye of anything you're supposed to want. Your soul knows exactly the mission that it came forward to live, and that mission is communicated through your soul's desires. What is it that you want? Let yourself hear it. Let it fill you up. It's not only possible, it's already done. And this space, like all the others that we visited, is always here for you. Before we go, your spiritual support is offering, if there's anything heavy, leave it here with us. Any heaviness that you carry on your mind, on your heart, leave it with them to tend to. Let them look after it. Let them dissolve it on your behalf. They'll do anything that you ask of them. All you have to do is ask. As you stand up from your seat, you notice you feel lighter, filled with your soul's desires, unburdened from the heaviness that you were carrying as you walked in the room. You tell them, "I'll see you soon." And you begin to walk out. Begin to wiggle your toes and your fingers. Move your shoulders from side to side. Smile as you remember the love that was filling up that room. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And I see some of you already writing. Take a moment, make some notes. What was it? Who did you see in there? Who was in there from your ancestors who showed up for you to love and support you in all of your desires? What is it that you want? What heaviness did you leave with them to tend to for you? Will you be going back someday? I would love to hear in the chat a word or two about what is it? What is it that your soul wants? What was the heaviness that felt good to sit down? I want expansion to touch more lives. And so it is. Anything that we will let ourselves want is ours to have. Just like the song said, it's yours for the taking. There's nothing off limits. There's no such thing as off limits. What is it? So I stopped the background music, expanding to embrace deeper awareness, deeper health, deeper peace, and love. Lots of expansion, right? I want more. Am I allowed? Am I allowed to want more? Because I think I do. Great. Great. Acknowledge it, admit it, let yourself want what you want. Let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Right? I wonder if there's a reason deeper than expansion that is even like why we came here to Earth School in the first place. The exhilaration of the next little bit of expansion and the next little bit of expansion and the next. Initially, I didn't know what I wanted. Initially, I just wanted to stay in the room with all these awesome beings. Then I wanted clarity. Then I want the collective consciousness to understand the depth and full nature of love. That's like one of the hardest parts of these meditations is bringing you guys back so quickly, because I feel like we could stay in there and you could just continue to receive and receive and receive. And not only are these replays going to stay on YouTube, but I'm also cutting out the meditations so that I can release those individually so you can dive straight back into any of the meditations that you want to revisit. And like, I love even admitting to yourself, I don't know what I want. Like the very first step in this whole like process that we're going to explore today is declare what you want. And it's amazing how many people, the part that's hard about that is I don't know what I want. Right? I think in physical reality, the contrast can be most compelling. And so we spend a lot of time answering what I don't want, the things that I don't want to live again, or the things that I'm trying to keep away from my experience. But what is it that we want to open up into? Freedom to spend my time in the way I want and resources for me and to help others get on that path. Wonderful. Freedom. Again, the threads of overlap are just stunning. I freaking love it. Freedom. I want more play and less work. Successful full-time entrepreneurship. Gorgeous. Real life, safe, soft community, more gentle adventures. I love that, gentle adventures. Help build a safe, loving world for everyone, to create safe, loving space for my clients, the abundance to do this. That one landed. That's a good one. I think I went really deep and I can't remember what I asked, but I do remember I said something. Good, good, good. And what was the heaviness that you allowed them to take for you? Yes, then I wanted more play in the moment, being myself, fully with others. When we allow ourselves to start wanting, we're powerful in our ability to want. Okay? We're powerful and expansive just in our ability to want more expansion and to name all of the various ways that that's possible for us and the ways that would feel best to us. The trespasser story that I carry. I wonder, what do you mean by trespasser? Like you're not supposed to be there? Mm, mm. Like almost imposter syndrome-ish, maybe a little different. Yeah, yeah, right. And that is one of my favorite guided meditations to do inside of myself, is to get together with my spiritual support. And they always ask me, what's heavy that we can take off your plate? And it's amazing when you will start answering that question. You're like, actually, this thing, if you're offering, you can have this. And they're like, what else? And you're like, oh, you can take more? Yeah, okay, fine. Here's this thing. They're like, great. What else? And they'll just take it and take it and take it. And you can literally just unburden yourself onto your spiritual support. They have infinite capacity to carry that for you. Feeling super responsible for the collective, right? Like it's interesting when we think about what we want, how much of what we want is for other people, right? And that is that sense of like, I want everybody to get it. It's like, well, everybody else is manifesting their own wishes and desires and soul expansion, and they have their sovereignty to want what they want. But it is like one of those back and forth. The heaviness is resources for major repairs. Like feeling like there's not enough right now and that maybe there won't be enough to do really what you need to do. That worry, really any worry, can get heavy so quickly. And so this step number one of declare what it is that you want and plant that seed in the ground, right? Like any seed will grow if you just don't dig it up, right? If we leave it in the ground. And how do we dig it up? What is the act of digging it back up? It's talking ourselves back out of it. It's doubting and questioning, am I even allowed to want that? Is that spiritual to want that? Right? Like there's so many things out there that we can get in our head about, am I allowed to want what I want? And that's why the heart wants what it wants. The soft animal of your body wants what it wants, and those wants, we may not understand why this thing, but our soul does. Our soul is guiding us step by step along the path that it came here to live. And how does it do that? By dangling a carrot out front. For a time, I wanted to be a CEO so bad I could taste it. I dreamt about it. I wanted it. And almost as soon as I got it, I was like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, I don't want this. This is not okay. But I wouldn't trade that chapter for anything. It moved me back to my hometown. It healed so much with my family. The things that pour out of the cup that we choose, because that's the cup I want, we can never guess at like what really is involved in us having the thing that we want and the layers of healing that go into it. That's why I think like a lot of times the things that we want to manifest, it's like that's just the next step along your healing path, is you getting that thing. And you receiving that thing is the healing expansion that you were really after on a soul level. It's just a matter of what is the most delicious carrot that's going to get you to actually go after it, right? If somebody actually dangled a carrot in front of me, I'd be like, I don't really care about that. I'm going to just stay right here. But if they're putting, what could they put? Chicken piccata, like something like that I really want, then I'm going to get up out of my chair and I'm going to move outside my comfort zone and I'm going to go after it. So it has to be a compelling desire in order for us to move along our soul's journey like we really meant to. So the not digging it up part is by far the most important piece of that, of like, when we talk ourselves out of it, that's like that it's not safe. It's not safe to want this. And again, like we may or may not really understand like what is that's going on in our body when our mind is talking us out of it. But the second step is change your story. So the first step is declare what you want, and the second step is change your story. So when we take the seed and we plant it under the earth, right? We plant it down in our depths. What is it that comes up? When you want what you want, what is it that starts to come up in you? What are the thoughts that come up as far as, like I was saying, like, is that okay to want that? That's not a spiritual thing. That seems really selfish. I should want, something better for the collective. Like, what is the thoughts that start to arise? And I would love to hear in the chat. It seems like these things end up being super relatable. When you think about wanting what you want, what starts to come up in your thoughts? Good one. Be realistic. Who the heck are you to have that thing? Dude, yeah, totally. I don't know enough, am not enough yet, need more learning, procrastinate learning. I've never heard that before. That's hilarious. Oh, I don't know enough yet. Be realistic. Like type a one in the chat if you can relate to either one of those. Those are both like I've been right there in both of those. And the good news about the be realistic one, especially, is like reality is whatever we decide it is. Reality is in the eye of the beholder. So we get to choose what we believe is true. And this work that we're talking about, this process of walking through this, is about changing that story, right? And so some of them that come up for me is like, I'm too much, doubt in self, like I'm too deep, I'm too intense, too much for people, my emotions are too big. All of these stories of like, if I'm that visible, people will attack me. I want to impact millions or billions of lives. But if I'm working on that level, how many people are going to show up with pitchforks in my front yard? I want to know ahead of time so I can be prepared. Like, again, what is it that starts to come up? And this is part of what she describes as far as like there's the mind level, there's the emotion level, and then there's the body level of like the mind is the one saying, I'm too much, right? That's the thought that comes. What's the emotion? What's the emotion that's underneath that thought? Take a second, and if it's easier to close your eyes, what is that emotion of worrying that you're too much? What are we afraid of in that scenario if we're worried about being too much? And that's just one example. I mean, any of them we can work with. Rejection. Rejection. Turns out rejection is a big one. Fear of rejection, fear that rejection, abandonment, shame, like, and again, like, how relatable is that? Fear of rejection, fear of being told you're wrong, you're doing it wrong, you're getting it wrong, you're being wrong, you should be different than you are. These are all ways that chances are we've already been rejected in the past, right? We got told that for somebody's system, our emotions were too much. That was a fact, right? Not necessarily too much for us, but too much for them in their level of readiness. The thing I've realized is that we help the collective by being in full flower, maybe power. I don't know. Flower is also, that works. It's the flower that produces the seed. The seed is the future next generation. The flower, yes, like letting yourself blossom. I see what you mean there now. Absolutely. Right. When we stay a little seed inside the seed packet, right, we keep digging it back up and putting it back in the garage. Like we're not really helping anybody. We're not co-signing that for other people. And so the emotion of rejection, right? Like what is that sensation in your body when we think about being rejected? Where do you feel that in your body? What is the visceral sensation that comes with that fear of being rejected or abandoned even? Where do you notice that feeling in your body? Stomach, solar plexus, hit to my confidence in my solar plexus, closing of the heart chakra and a chest tightening. It feels like a hole in my heart, intense emotions in the throat. It's a full body experience, is what we're seeing here. I mean, all of the above, right? When I'll bet if you really sat with it, you would notice that every single one of your energy centers is going crazy when you think about the reality of being rejected. It's intense. It's super intense. And again, rejection is just one example, but a very relatable one, I think. A tight knot between your solar plexus and your throat, almost like a cutting off of that energy, like flowing up and out. Yeah. So that's the part that, when we think about what do we want, that visceral sensation that you all just were able to like tap right into easily, that's what lives in your body right now, all the time. And so being with that and rewriting that story of, let's say, I'm too much, I'm too deep. How do we rewrite that? Beginning with, it's possible, ... that what? How do we rewrite that thought of I'm too deep, I'm too much, it's not realistic, others will attack me? What is the change in your story, the new story, that it's possible this other version is just as true as the version you're currently holding in your body? Because the only reason it's in your body is because you've lived it. You have evidence to support the story that you're currently carrying, right? Like I think about my childhood, like you're too sensitive. That was like a drum that it seemed like everybody around me was beating. And I'm like, I don't get it. Why? Why isn't everybody as sensitive as me? But like I learned how to adapt to them. Right. And so that I'm too sensitive, I'm too much. Like that is, I have evidence to support why I believe that. But at the same time, reality is what you make it. Life is what you make it. And so if I want to believe that my depth calls other people home to their soul, I can find evidence of that. I can believe a new belief, and life will give me the proof of it. Life will reflect evidence of whatever belief it is that we're holding. So what is the rewritten story? Definitely got the receipts. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Your body's like, no, I can show you. I've got file folders of everything. It's possible that I need to find the community that can hold me. Absolutely. Where my depth is celebrated, where my big energy is celebrated and appreciated and encouraged to be even bigger, right? I don't care what others think, and most probably they haven't given themselves the chance to be all they want. Very good point. I would be surprised if you really don't care what other people think, though. Like, that's a very difficult one to actually feel in your body, right? We are social animals. So being tied into community and belonging is wired into our DNA, right? Being cast out by the tribe is like in our genetics, as far as like that's recipe for not surviving. These days I tell myself it's okay if they reject you. They're not really rejecting. They're not really rejected, and we never reject ourselves. You are a super master in rejection. You are a rejection ninja. I love it. Love it. Right? Like reworking the story of like, what does it really mean? It's possible that they're not rejecting me at all. It's possible that they're rejecting that part of themselves. So like what we make it mean is how willing we are to experience it. If we think rejection is 100% about us and that it's going to hurt our chances for survival, we will avoid it at all cost and any activity that we think could get us rejected. So rewiring that story. Age gives you more permission to be who you want. I get that. Especially like early 40s and that Uranus return. Like you got to. You have to grow into your authentic self, or like life gets really, really hard. Deborah and I are of the generation of whatever. I wonder what that means. And if it's, yeah, I wonder what that means. So once we rewrite that story and we are able to see that it's possible that my depth isn't too much, it's possible that my energy isn't too much, then it's a matter of the daily back and forth between what it is that our comfort zone is and what it is that our leading edge self knows to be true. So it is not normal to break out of your comfort zone. The comfort zone is the comfort zone for a reason. It keeps you safe. Everything inside of you will pull you back to the comfort zone over and over and over again. And so the abnormal thing is activating into more of your power and stretching beyond the comfort zone. Every time you step 1 foot beyond the comfort zone, it gets really uncomfortable because we're starting to flirt with those feelings that we don't want to feel. And that is the next layer. Step number 3 is release. So what is it that is down in the depths of who you are that is ready to be released? And I love how Laura says, the creator of this model says that what stands between us and our power is the feeling we don't want to feel. So we could already be living everything that we wanted if there wasn't a feeling inside of us that we don't want to feel. And we don't want to feel it because it's uncomfortable, because it doesn't feel good. It might even actually feel like death. It might feel like your heart pounding, your stomach is sick, your skin is hot, you start to sweat, like your body really does feel like it's going into fight or flight, like some kind of predator is chasing you. I mean, that's why when we do have to get down into our body to release this, feeling down into the depth of what it is that we don't want to feel. And so when we think about, I'm too much, and underneath that is the feeling of rejection, and underneath that are these visceral sensations of sick to my stomach, knots in my energy. In order to release, we do have to feel down into the roots of those feelings. When I first did this exercise, I thought about if I show up in my full power, my family is going to reject me, is going to kick me out, is going to disown me. And so to release, I go down into the depths of that feeling, into a reality where that has happened. And I sit with myself as the disowned one, as the rejected one. And when you feel down into those depths, it hurts. It instantly, I just instantly started sobbing of like, but I don't want them to disown me, right? Like, and we're back in the struggle of the comfort zone and the leading edge, right? So the release is on an emotional body level of rewriting the story on a mental level, saying that we don't care doesn't release. It's a matter of actually digging down into the feeling and being present with that feeling. And so anytime there's another level, there's more that we want, there's an expansion that we want to be living, the way to get there, the portal to get there is through the feeling we don't want to feel. And like, what is that feeling? Right? For me, it was a matter of feeling like if my family disowns me, then I'm alone. I'm alone in the universe. Nobody has my back. And so the release is to be present with that feeling of aloneness. Right. And I personally don't even believe that they would. I don't believe that I would be alone. I think I have community, staring back at me right now, if nothing else. And yet the body has receipts. The body believes that it's true and is going to protect me from it at all costs. And so spending time with those feelings of whatever it is that we don't want to feel. And I think this is especially fitting given that we are here at 29 degrees of Pisces. Pisces being notorious, the shadow of Pisces is about escapism. It's about numbing. It's about feeling the uncomfortable thing and getting as far away from it as possible, as fast as possible. And we can do that by overworking. We can do that by turning on Netflix. We can do that by calling a friend. We can do that in a million different ways. The much more uncomfortable option is to walk into it. And that's the practice of release. We do have to go in to come out the other side. And same as we talked about, I think it was on day one with like, the 2 steps forward, 15 steps backwards, like when it feels like we're lost in this awful emotion and we're crying and we're inconsolable, that's the release. That's the shedding of that coming up out of our body so that our nervous system is able to set to a different point. Our nervous system is able to release that and to not be clenched shut because, oh, what if they reject me? What if they think I'm too much? And this happens in layers and layers and layers and layers and layers. So it's not necessarily a one and done kind of thing. And so I say all of that just to, acknowledge that a lot of times it can feel like, no, I've released. I released a lot. And it's like, I am sure that you have. I know that you have. The people in this group, you're not able to like resonate with this conversation unless you've already swum in your own depths over and over and over and over. The work it takes to even be able to hear this conversation is monumental. And the realization that it's not over yet. It's not been enough yet, right? There's still more. There's still more that wants to be coming up and out and to be expressed. I just want to leave that in there as far as like having a lot of self-awareness around not beating up on self because self needs more from you still. That's okay. Right? Like we can try our best to be the ones that don't judge our inner self as being too much. Right? When we say, I've already done it. I've done so much work. How can there be more? That's us saying that we are too much. That's us reaffirming what they told us when we were little. You need too much. You're too sensitive. And it's like, maybe, what even is that? What is normal? What does that even mean? You know, we get to decide what the truth is. And so declaring what we want, rewriting the story of what comes up, what is it that we're really afraid of that's blocking us, being present with the feelings that we really don't want to feel, but that are our ticket into the next level. You know, like they say, the next level is through the part of you that you avoid, and specifically the feeling that you're avoiding feeling. Feeling our feelings is a skill. This takes muscle, same as we've talked about every single day. It takes muscles to build up. And again, you wouldn't be able to be here doing this work unless you already have muscles. So kudos on the work that you have already invested that has let you get to this point. And again, please know that you're not alone in the space of still processing and still working through the layers that live in your body. So this has clearly been a little bit of a longer session than what we've done so far, but I still want to take the time to open it up to a hot seat. If someone would like to share, just raise your hand on your camera and I will invite you forward, whether you have a question or a share. Something that is wanting to come through. Laura? Oh, yes, please. Here, ask to unmute.
Okay. So this is a leap of, I don't know, self-faith. So
Beautiful.
okay. So this trespasser story. It's something, the word came to me fairly recently, and it feels more right because this is a lifetime thing. I used to call it fringe dweller, and I did a lot of great work around like all the advantages of being a fringe dweller, because there really are. And, you know, the perspective that you can hold as someone who's kind of on a periphery, you get to see different stuff. You can actually bring a perspective that, you know, people who are in the middle don't have. But it got clearer with this trespasser thing, which, yes, is like imposter. Yeah, but it's just like, you know, it's like someone who's just not supposed to be there. And like Wanda said in the comments, like, I've had real experiences of being treated like a trespasser in my family, which is really painful. So, yeah. So yes, I hear that. What's underneath it? I think, like you said, Carly, it's this like being cast out. That's another like being banished.
Yes.
And yeah. And so I do need to sit with that some more, because I realize that it's coming up a lot lately, and I do have a lot of resistance to it. I think what I will say is, when we did the inner child meditation, an interesting animal came up, which was a possum. And I think it kind of like really followed on nicely with this trespasser thing, because I know people are becoming more fond of like all the animals, at least recently, and that's great, love that. But you know, back in the day, a possum is like a stinky animal that's like, you know, nocturnal and you know, in your garbage can, and you don't want it there, like a vermin. And so I went and looked at some pictures of possums, and you know, they have a quality that's not, you know, immediately attractive, but they're also really endearing when you look at them. And I went and looked at some sort of spiritual meanings, different cultural meanings for possums. The most interesting part is that possum is inviting you to look at inner child. So, okay. And that felt appropriate. And also that there was a little bit of information which I didn't know. You know, the whole playing dead thing. Possum will play dead, and then like it will also create like a nasty smell to go along with the illusion of being dead. But it's physiological. A possum in danger will literally pass out because its system is overwhelmed, and that's what it does to defend itself, which was also just interesting because I do have a tendency to like I don't like conflict. I will avoid conflict if at all possible. So it's just interesting looking at these different things that came up. And I don't really know what the conclusion of my share is here, but I felt that thing in my throat, like I needed to speak. And yeah, I can just see the work ahead of me is to kind of sit with that like avatar of my inner child, or an aspect of my inner child, or a part that I don't like about myself, because I know that all the parts have something to offer, and that simply by being seen they can be transformed, whether that is into like a more true version of themselves, or a clearer way of seeing them. So yeah, possums, trespassers, nocturnal garbage cans, all of that story. Thank you for listening.
Oh, thank you for trusting the feeling in your throat that it was time for you to speak, because I enjoyed listening to that. And I love that an animal came up that not only is related to your inner child, like as it told you on the internet, but that also, like you said, like it got cuter when you looked at it, like, and these parts of ourselves that we don't like that are likely to become cuter when we look at them, become more magnetic, become more attractive, become more lovable, the more we will look at them. And so I love the hope that I feel from your share of like, right, we have resistance to our resistance, like, period. That's very human of all of us to feel that way. And even with just a little bit of being willing to face it, it's like the resistance can go on for decades. But even a few minutes of being with it could transform it into something very different that we aren't as resistant to. So that's what I took, was hope of the transformation of being willing to even just lay your eyes on the thing.
Yeah. And that feels really good to hear, because it allows me to kind of relax into the fact that I've already started, that it's not something that I'm gearing myself up to do, or I haven't done well enough yet, but that I have in fact already started, even with maybe like small steps.
Yes. Yes. And like, I love that note too, as far as like everyone here has already started, has already traveled so far along the path to be to this point. So yeah, it's never that like, well, it's time to get in the pool. Like, you need to dive in there. You need to get started. Like, what have you been waiting for? Like, no, you've been working through the layers that were on top of this one. And now this is the next one. And you have experience, you have skills and muscles for dealing with layer after layer after layer. And it's just not reaffirming that story that like, there's too many layers, you're too much. No, there's just the right number of layers, and they're all right on time.
Yeah.
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 Mhm. Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much. Oh, and I know I've already kept you past 11, but I also want to invite if Leanne has anything to add or share based on today's conversation, I would love to hear what that is.
Do actually. So I have been finding it like really interesting, reflecting on what Laura was just saying about this idea of the possum and the digging into the trash. And it made me think of the vulture and how we think of the vulture. Most people look at it as like this horrific creature, when in reality, what it's doing is it's allowing the transition from this space of ending into this space of beginning. And is helping us to create a new world with what has already passed. And I think in the same way, like the possum is doing that too. And what it's seeing is treasure in the trash. Like we don't all have that gift to like value things that others don't readily value. And I think that's so important for us that the possum too serves a purpose. And in a way, like it is such a unique purpose that there are going to be many people that don't understand the concept of the trash being actually treasure, being actually valuable in more ways than we understand. And I feel like that might be a lot of us here, that like we see value in a lot of things that most people just don't see. They don't get it. So from that perspective, like I'm really appreciating our vision and what it is that we can contribute, because simply by looking at things differently, we can change the way that we act and the way that others act around us. We become the change.
Mm. I love that. As soon as you started saying that, I was like, oh, the vulture. And then you're like, yeah, the vulture. Oh my gosh.
Like
Oh,
there's so many creatures out there that just aren't appreciated for the gift that they provide. And it's hard for people to see the gift when what gets perpetuated in media and society is a specific view. But there's so much more to every creature. Every living being has a balance, and every living being has a value. So there is no singularly bad extreme either way. Like we are choosing to see it one way when in reality there is a different perspective every time.
mm, love all of that.
I,
Both the Laura's share, Leanne's edition, such a
yeah.
beautiful note to end on of like, this idea that just because others don't see the value in who we are or in our energy, again, even if they were the ones that we were really counting on them to love us and they just don't get it, that can be so painful. But this going into the astrological new year and tomorrow when we get to Aries season, internalizing our validation, we see it. And as long as we see the value in who we are, dealing with the layers and the pain of other people not getting it gets a lot easier, at least easier and easier and easier. And being in spaces like this, where we're able to come together with other people who have similar energy, who have that deep trash eating energy. God, I resonate with that so much. Um, you're looking pretty weird out there at the garbage cans all by yourself, but as soon as there's 10 of us, it's like, hey, now it's a party. Right. So I am so freaking grateful for this space. I am so glad you guys hung out a few extra minutes. Thank you so much. Um, I am going to share one more time that again, March 23rd, Saturday, 10 a.m. Central Time, I have the open sacred circle. So everyone is welcome to come to that. And then to be a member going forward and be able to come every Saturday is $45 a month. The drop-in fee for one time to come to a sacred circle is $15. I sent out yesterday the extended times for each of the sessions. If you want to book a one-on-one session as part of the retreat to follow up and dive deeper into your personal experience, I would love to do that with you if that's something you're feeling called to. And rather than the 20% off the price, I added 20% more time. So 30 minutes became 40, 50 became 60, 75 became 90 minutes. So there's extra time on each of those sessions. And without further ado, we will give away the day 4 prizes. So let me pull that up real quick. Okay, so we have 1 month free of Sacred Circle going to Laura Sums. What a small freaking world. That's the second day in a row where the person who shares also is the winner of the prize. Like, what are the freaking chances? It's just clearly meant to be. I love that affirmation for you that you were feeling it and you listened. And I cannot wait to have you in those 4 free sacred circles. Congratulations on that. What a gift that space is for everyone who attends, and that you will add to that space just by being there. And the winner of the ebook of choice. So I have 4 ebooks available on my Etsy shop. I'll send you a link so you can pick out which one you want. And forgive me, I'm probably going to butcher your name, but Hisham, that's my best guess. Is that right? Am I close? Let me unmute you because I would love to hear you say it. How do you say your name?
It's exactly how you said it.
How about that? Hisham.
Yeah,
Okay,
Hisham,
perfect.
yeah.
Well, I will send you an email so that you can pick out your ebook, and then I will send that to you once you've made your choice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
You
much.
are so welcome. Thanks for being here. It's good to have you. And that brings us to the end of day 4. So we will be back for one more day tomorrow, day 5 on Wednesday. If you can be with us, that's fantastic. If you got to catch the replay, no stress. Hope to see everybody on Saturday if you can make it for the Open Sacred Circle. And yeah, one more day. I am so excited for tomorrow and whatever ideas come forward as far as how to continue building out community spaces where we can gather and affirm each other together, to see our own value together and have it reflected from other people who are doing similar work. That is such medicine for me to be here, and I hope for you as well. It has been my pleasure, and I'll see some of you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.